universities in the country and improving ease of doing business in our country. A big round of applause for Mr. Deepak Bagla, our chief guest today. With a wealth of experience, he brings invaluable insights to our discussions. Dr. Sanjeev Kumar Patjoshi is already logged in through online, an individual of remarkable accomplishments. He is not just an IPS officer. Dr. Patjoshi, although he holds the position of Director General of Police and Chairman of CMD of the Kerala Police Housing Corporation, but he has a strong academic background in electrical engineering from IIT Kanpur, MBA from Syracuse University, USA, and IIM Bangalore. He embodies excellence in both academics and leadership. Mr. Jagam Ali Khan had to come at the last moment. He got flu and he could not come. He is the Executive Director in the Ministry of Railways. Professor Avinash Chandra Pandey, as I introduced you, a distinguished academician. Professor Pandey currently serves as the Director of the Inter-University Accelerator Center, New Delhi. Operating under the Ministry of Education, Government of India, his extensive expertise in the field is pivotal in advancing cutting-edge research. I'll be giving you the more details about his cutting-edge research, which is pioneer in India in the coming period when he will be speaking. Dr. Ishita Ganguly Tripathi, known as the Action Women, Action Lady, a leading figure in India's development landscape, Dr. Tripathi serves as the Additional Development Commissioner in the Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises. Her work is integral to fostering growth and innovation within the MSME sector. Despite her busy schedule, she brings out time and she came here for this conclave. I am really thankful to her, and a big round of applause for Dr. Ishita Ganguly Tripathi. Mr. Prem Singh, a prominent HR leader who serves as the president of Group CHRO for JK organization, you know about this organization, and holds the prestigious position of president of National HRD Network also. His expertise in human resources and organizational development is invaluable. He will be beginning the discussion today. Mr. Anadi N. Sinha is about to join. He is the President of Corporate Affairs at Minda Group, based in Gurgaon. His Excellency Mr. Danbul Danbajong, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of Mongolia to the Republic of India, will share insights of unlocking global growth and exploring opportunities in Mongolia and beyond. Mr. Roger Lakshman. A big round of applause for Ambassador of Mongolia. Mr. Roger R. Lakshman is the Consular General of Georgia. He will also be joining in the later half today from South Africa. Dr. Sunil K. Joshi will be joining from USA. He is in Virginia. Mr. Santanu Mitra is here, a very senior leader, thought leader and senior economic advisor within the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. His expertise in economies and corporate affairs is invaluable for our deliberations, as he is the one person who was earlier a journalist and journalist turned bureaucrat. A big round of applause for Mr. Santanu Mitra. Dr. Sandeep Chatterjee will also be joining soon in the second panel. He is the Senior Director and Group Coordinator overseeing cyber law and data governance and heading the Division for E-Waste and Circular Economy in the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. Dr. Deepak Majumdar, he is the Project Director of CIDC under Niti Aayog. He will be joining. Mr. Samar Mahapatra is on stage, former Vice President HR of Reliance Jio. And this list is too long, so I'll be, taking the names of other guests in the due course of the discussions. They will contribute their invaluable knowledge and insights to our deliberations, ensuring a rich and comprehensive exploration of the topics at hand, and we will introduce each one of them during their sessions. So these luminaries are here to share their insights, expertise and experiences, providing invaluable perspectives on the topics at hand. sharing. So without any further delay, I would like to begin this exciting journey by inviting Mr. Prem Singh, CHRO JK organization, to kindly share his views. Mr. Prem Singh.
Good morning. Good morning. I don't feel the josh of Delhi. बोलते हैं कि दिल्ली दिल वालों की, but I can feel that. Good morning.
Good morning. Good
That
morning.
sounds better.
So,
Sure. Thank you, Neha, for making that easy for me. Dignitaries of the dais, ladies and gentlemen in the auditorium, in the hall, and the organizing team. I think first of all, I would like all of you to give a big round of applause to the Government of India organization for seamlessly planning and executing G20 event throughout last 1 year. So please put your hands together to everyone. You know, I like to talk about two stories. Last year, in 2022, we had a very prominent sports event, FIFA. There was one big surprise. Any guess what was the surprise? The surprise was there was one team which nobody thought would even qualify to come into the tournament. And this team not only qualified, but it also started winning matches one after the other. Another surprise was this team went into the quarter-final. And third surprise was this team went into the semi-final. And biggest surprise was it fought against a team which was very respected for its sporting skills. And this team fought against French. Any guess which team was this? Moroccan team. So Moroccan team, nobody thought that they would be a contender anyway. But this surprise brings home a point that just because the past is not glorious doesn't mean you cannot create a glorious future. I think similar things are happening, particularly in the context of India. And let me just share some data points. Number one, last year, based upon one research which was brought out by Mint, number of digital online transactions in India were more than 4 large major economies put together. Yes, my friends, you heard it right. The number of digital transactions, online transactions that happened in India last year were more than the economies led by US, China, EU, and New Zealand. All these 4 major economies put together were less than what happened in India. That's a data point. Now let's go back a little bit. What would have led to this? You see, the transformation of economies generally happens in a very sequential manner. That is what history tells us. For example, any economy and major economies have taken that route, follows this sequential route. From agrarian, you go to manufacturing economy, from manufacturing you go to service economy, and from service you go to data economy or IT economy. In case of India, I think this is one unique example. From agrarian, we have kind of leapfrogged into service economy. And now we are pole vaulting to the data economy or IT economy. You see, that is the reason why we have been so successful in navigating a lot of complex social problems through digital, through IT progress. You know, during the COVID time, while the entire world was busy worrying about India, that India will take anywhere between 15 to 18 years to vaccinate its population, India surprised everyone by not only vaccinating its entire population within 12 to 15 months, but also surprised the entire world by providing vaccines to many countries, including many developed countries. What would have led to this? Now let's just go slightly deeper. You see, if you look at India's demography, the average age of India today, the median age as they call it, is 28.5 years. That means young India is a significant competitive advantage. And if there is one reason why India has been extremely fast to adapt technology, to adapt digital, is because of the youth, because of this high young population of the country. You see, the number of people in India who are between 15 years to 35 years is 66%. That makes it extremely advantageous for India to embrace, to adapt very quickly whatever the new technology that comes. That's a big advantage. And to my guest from Mongolia, His Excellency, Mongolian Commissioner, on behalf of India, I say that India, and also to other foreign guests, I say that India, with its policy of Vasudha Kutumbakam, can make significant contributions not only to the progress of India, but also to the progress of the entire globe. Merely because we have a significant competitive advantage in terms of demographic advantage, merely because we have a very high digital quotient and extremely fast, extremely quickly growing startup ecosystem that places us at a significantly competitive advantage with respect to many other economies. You see, today, India in the globe, in the entire world, is the third largest growing startup ecosystem in the world. That's not something which we can just brush aside. A country which many other economies would have dismissed is now becoming a growing power, a power to reckon with. The focus on digital, focus on technology, focus on green, focus on solar has already identified India as a growing superpower in terms of economics, in terms of trade, in terms of industry. I think the G20 presents a unique opportunity not only to India but also to the entire globe. I like to just talk about two data points here concerning G20. Based upon one research, G20 could have added at least 1 million new jobs in the last 12-15 months within India. New jobs. Number one. Number two, because of the successful planning and execution of G20, about 10% addition could happen to the trade between India and the G20 countries. That's a big opportunity. Based on this data, based on the Indian prowess, I submit to all the dignitaries here, all the entrepreneurs here, please utilize this opportunity to the best possible extent that you can do, because it is your moment. It's an opportunity that all of you as entrepreneurs, all of us as Indians, as global citizens must seize and make sure that we make the best use of this opportunity. With this, I just like to end with a small couplet. इम्तहां अभी और भी है, मंजिलें अभी और भी है. इम्तहां अभी और भी है, मंजिलें अभी और भी है. नापी है मुट्ठी भर जमी हमने, अभी तो पूरा आसमां बाकी है. Thank you very much. God bless.
थैंक यू वेरी मच. पूरा आसमां भी बाकी है और पूरा दिन भी बाकी है, सेशन बाकी है. हमारे बहुत सारे सीनियर स्पीकर्स यहाँ हैं. मैं ब्रीफली प्रोफेसर अविनाश चंद्र पांडे जी, डायरेक्टर ऑफ IUAC, मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ एजुकेशन, गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया, उनको इनवाइट करता हूँ टू शेयर हिज व्यूज on the subject today. And I would also like to say कि इनके सेंटर में MRI मशीनें जो होती हैं ना, हम सब लोग MRI टेस्ट कराते हैं. आपको पता है ये MRI मशीन में जो मैग्नेट लगता है वो उसका हार्ट है, जो इंडिया में प्रोड्यूस नहीं होता, मोस्टली चाइना से और अदर कंट्री से आता है. His center has developed that magnet that is so important because one machine costs several crores of rupees, from 3-4 crores to up to 16 crore and maybe many more. And his center has developed that magnet and several other things are developing under his leadership and guidance. A big round of applause for Professor Avinash Chandra Pandey, and I would request you to kindly briefly address us. Mr. Pandey.
Thank you very much, dignitaries on the dais and ladies and gentlemen. This is really a proud privilege to be part of this where we are celebrating after G20. As a means of introspection, we have to look at why we require to nurture entrepreneurial skill in our country. You can see that about 500 fortune companies are led by the product of our Indian higher education system. Business requires risk, and unless otherwise this entrepreneurial skill is there, because of disruptions in the economy. Earlier, the revolutions which came, they lasted long, but the fourth revolution which is coming and many such waves will come. To address those waves in form of disruptions, we have to take these challenges in such a way that we not only harness the potential of our intellectual capital of country, but also to take risk for addressing those issues which ameliorate the conditions of the people, not only in India but across the globe. We are capable, and you have seen a small change which was initiated that led to many unicorns, many startups in the country, and also we have started thinking in terms of becoming an economy of $5 trillion worth. So this is what the change which we have to be mindful, and the earlier concept of having fixed sort of learning, road learning and those things in the mind that we'll have to pursue the career in a straight-jacketed manner, that has to go away, and that is what the national education policy is also envisaging, how we can transform the landscape, the higher education landscape in the country, making skill and skilling an important ingredient where the vocational, the skill framework and general education, they have got a very seamless interconnect for lateral transformation, lateral movement from one vertical to other vertical. This is what we have started going on, but the problem of academia-industry connect, we do not have faith on each other. So unless otherwise that comes into picture, we cannot harness the potential which is there. So Pandit was referring to MRI magnet. MRI magnet is beginning. There are many things which are there inside which is not known to the industry people, and because of that they don't come forward. So a small thing like how to connect superconducting wire when they're conducting one to the
So the focus has actually been on that. And if we talk about MSMEs, we all are aware that in 2020 the definition changed, and all the enterprises which have a turnover of less than 250 crore, along with investment in plant and machinery less than 50 crore, is what defines the MSME sector. The contribution of the MSMEs in terms of GDP, 1/3 of GDP, almost 50% of exports, and second contributor to employment after agriculture, all that is well known. But all the interventions, if we were to categorize the interventions, especially the ones made in the past 1 year, I think they can be put in 7 different buckets. The first one is the coordinated response. Now if you see in brackets I have put RAMP and PM Vishwakarma. Why am I talking about coordinated response? Because after all, enterprises, industry is in the state list. So any intervention has to be made along with the state governments. And the two examples that are there are RAMP, where we are working along with the state governments on making strategic investment plans, and PM Vishwakarma, which was launched by Honorable PM on the 17th of September, where the focus is on artisans and craftspeople who work with their hands using basic tools, how to provide a holistic end-to-end support to them. Again, we need to work with the states, and we are doing that. Then the next is employment generation. There, our scheme, our flagship scheme, PMEGP, everyone is aware of that. Entrepreneurship development. Now, if we look at our scheme, ESDP, the focus is not just on skill upgradation, but also on entrepreneurship, marketing. Now, access to marketing is something that is that comes up in every stakeholder consultation we have. And for domestic access to domestic markets, we are focusing on procurement and marketing support services. And the emphasis is on how best we can help the micro enterprises. And if you see all these schemes that are mentioned in the package, some of them are new schemes which have been introduced in the past 1 year, and the others that are mentioned are the ones where guidelines have been changed so that the support that we are providing to the MSME sector, that can be enhanced. Then international cooperation, I see that looks at support to MSMEs which are interested in accessing markets abroad. And then the National SCST Hub, that focuses on market access for enterprises which are owned by SCs or STs. Then the infrastructure, we find that our cluster development approach, that works very well as far as economies of scale are concerned. And then, of course, the NER, that's a new, it's been revamped recently, and our focus is on all the 8 states of the Northeast, including Sikkim. The new component that has been introduced is the one on tourism, and I'm sure you all will agree that tourism is something that can really be promoted in the Northeast. Then technology, there we talk about the technology centers and the revamped champion scheme. And finally, but not the least important, the access to finance. Please note I'm saying access to finance and not access to credit, because apart from the credit guarantee scheme and the ECLGS, we also have the Self-Reliant India Fund. That's an equity support we provide to MSMEs, where the contribution of the Government of India is in the ratio of 1:4, one government and private equity 4. And in the past 2 years, the average equity support that has been provided under Self-Reliant India Fund is actually rupees 13 crore per MSME. Responsive policies, this is my last slide. The policies which have been actually a response to the demands of the stakeholders in the past 1 year. Now, for us, for the Ministry of MSME, Udyam is as good as KYC, which banks accord importance to. If somebody has an Udyam, it's an MSME for us, Udyam certificate. And it's actually not just a recognition to the MSMEs, but it's also something that can be used further. So it's a way of formalizing the informal enterprises. Now, was a long-standing demand of a lot of stakeholders who said that we are very small, tiny, nano enterprises and we do not have a PAN, but we are definitely enterprises. So on 11th January this year, we've added in Udyam an Udyam Assist platform where enterprises which do not have PAN can also register, and they are a part of the priority sector lending. And if you look at the figures, from 11 January till this morning, 92 lakh informal micro enterprises have already been formalized, of which 72% are owned by women. ECLJ scheme I mentioned earlier that has saved 14.5 lakh MSME accounts in the past 2 years from becoming NPA. Vis-a-vis a target of 25%, the public procurement from micro and small enterprises has actually been 33.3% till yesterday in this financial year. The annual guarantee fees of credit guarantee scheme for micro and small enterprises, that has been reduced by 50% with effect from 1st of April this year. Till this morning, 2.95 crore MSMEs had registered with an employment of 14.8 crore. Trade facilitation, that is something we are working on with DGFT. Zero effect, zero defect is something we are stressing on for ensuring quality. And under PM Vishwakarma scheme, we have had since the 9th of September till yesterday 9 lakh beneficiaries who registered. That's all from my side. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ishita Ganguly Tripathi, for giving this important information to all of us, because that will be helpful to our MSME sector people. Now, without any delay, I would like to invite today's chief guest and our keynote speaker, a high-profile Mr. Deepak Bagla, who has been facilitating country's investment goyas for over 3 decades as the Managing Director and CEO of Invest India. He brings a wealth of experience from successful stints before that at Citibank, at the World Bank and in the private equity space. With an investor mindset and entrepreneurial spirit, he spearheads investment in Invest India earlier, transforming it into the symbol of competitive federalism by blending the best of the public and private sectors. Under his able guidance, Invest India was able to work across every sector and state, facilitating foreign direct investment, supporting and enabling environment and improving ease of doing business. They also promoted a supportive ecosystem for entrepreneurs, champion India as a unicorn nation and commercialize innovations from Indian laboratories. Mr. Bagla, a highly respected figure in this field, considers Prime Minister Narendra Modi's vision as his guiding light and has, in a short period, made Invest in India a gold standard globally, earning the title of the world's best investment promotion agency during his tenure. His dedication to making India the Vishwaguru and the world's most preferred investment destination is really highly commendable. In the corridors of business, Mr. Bagla has ensured the FDI translates into trust in India and its future for investors. Today, even after his leaving, Invest India remains dedicated to making India Vishwaguru and the world's most preferred investment destination. I request Mr. Deepak Bagla to kindly come and address. A big round of applause for Mr. Deepak Bagla.
It was a long introduction. I don't know how much of it was true. But Mr. Pandey, Mr. Dubey, thank you very much for getting this all together. It really makes it's really important for what you've done for us. And officials, dignitaries, excellencies, friends, thank you for joining us this morning. We were thinking about what to speak on, and we said speak about the G20. But I thought let's just look back only on the past 60 days. Just 60 days. Think about what has happened here. And I'll tell you why I'm asking you about 60 days. I'm not even talking about the past 3,000 days since 2014. Because I think so much has happened that no one knows about the entire capacity of what has happened. And that is where G20 helped us a lot. Because one element which I found right through my entire career with Invest India, and when we were talking in G20 to everyone, nobody knows the amazing story of the change and transformation of India. Everybody said that. And I think one of the biggest things which happened in G20, which the Prime Minister made it happen, because it went to every city of this country, was to tell the world the story of the most unprecedented transformation in human history. And in that transformation, we are at probably the most interesting and important inflection point in our history. For each one of you. Think of only the past 60 days. Actually, I'm not even making you think of the past 300 days. 300 days ago, you think any of us would have been sitting in this room without a mask? Impossible. You were all isolated away from your closest family members, sitting alone in a room, locked in. 20th March 2020. The WHO director said the future of the world will depend on how India handles this pandemic. It was the gravest experience ever any of us will ever face. And I hope our future generations won't have to do that. And yet, in the toughest time in living history, you led the world's largest food support program, you did the world's largest vaccination program, you did the world's largest medicine support program, not just for yourself, but over 150 countries. You remember this, when we started, 30th March 2020, you did not have PPEs, you did not have masks, you did not have ventilators, you did not have testing labs. You remember? And yet on the 15th of July, you were exporting masks, you were exporting ventilators to the rest of the world. You did it. You had a leadership and a Prime Minister who was resolute, with a relentless zeal to make it happen. And equally important, a resilient nation which stood together to make it happen. But you remember what the Prime Minister said at that time? The focus was not just on life. He said, I will save life and I will save livelihood. Even during that time when the entire world was locked, you were running the world's biggest water program, the world's largest sustainability program, where even during the midst of that lockdown, you got a drinking water tap to over 110 million people in that lockdown. You know the Jal Jeevan mission which the Prime Minister launched? You all remember that? And remember, getting you a water tap in your house, you may not take it for granted because you stay in the city. 200 million households of rural India do not have a drinking water tap. And tell you, it is not just fixing a tap, it is laying a pipe, it is getting storage, it is getting cleaning that water, it is recycling, it is fixing a meter. While you were locked, there was somebody digging somewhere out there, putting in that pipe, putting in that meter. Even during the lockdown, you reached that water to 110 million people. It was not just life, it was livelihood. And let me tell you the other important thing, because with growth, you need capital. You're all businessmen here. On the 20th of March 2020, when the pandemic hit us, we had just about 45 million depository accounts. 45 million depository accounts. Last year in September, You had over 100 million depository accounts. In the midst of that lockdown, you were taking care of life, but at the same time, you were adding capital to the country's growth. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the new India which you all are creating. And now let me take you to the inflection point which I mentioned. And as I tell you, the most important inflection point as far as our entire generation is concerned. But before I come to the inflection point, think of the past 60 days and tell me your best memories. Remember a day when each one of you had tears in your eyes at 4:35 p.m. when you were watching the television. You were the first to land on the dark side of the moon. Every heartbeat was waiting for that landing to happen. Didn't you feel proud? You were proud of being a man. And then just after that, the World Athletic Meet, I don't know many of you saw, 4x400 women's semi-final. You saw that? I had tears in my eyes when I saw that. Our girls at one time were leading the US. When the race started, they did not even introduce us that well. There was somebody else who was introduced, all the other 5. And it was just by set that India. You were numbered 2. There was a time you were leading the US, and mind you, it's not too far away. The men did the same thing. And when the Asian Games happened, look at your medal tally. Ladies and gentlemen, this story has just begun. And when you have the top world leaders of the G20 come into your country and spend time with you, it is not a coincidence. It is not just because you managed it well. It is because today you are a force to reckon with. You had Mr. Prem Singh tell you about the startup. Let me tell you about the startup. Startup India was launched by the Prime Minister and you were there. 16th January 2016, I still remember it. He said, let's make it into a country not of job seekers but of job creators. 2016, today you are what? 2023. 7 years, 8 years. You are number 3 in the world in number of unicorns, number 2 in the world in number of startups, number 1 in the world with new startups adding every day. It is amazing. In 2019, you added a unicorn every 51 days. In 2020, you added a unicorn every 28 days. In 2021, you added a unicorn every 9 days. You added more unicorns in the third quarter of 2021 than any other country in the world. And unicorns is about solutions. When you landed on the moon or when you landed on Mars, you did it at 10% of the cost of anybody else who did it. 10% and less. You know what your startups are about? They're not just about starting a business. Your startups are giving you solutions for your growth. And today I have startups in close to 700 of the 740 districts of India. In each and every village and district, there is somebody solving a problem which you thought could never be solved. And doing it at a price point which is less than anybody else in the world. You know what is this new India about? It is about doing more and less. That is new India. Man just told you about the MSMEs. This story has just begun. MSMEs is the heartthrob of industry. They are your supply chain. You have 64 million MSMEs. Let me put it in perspective. Entire Europe has 32 million. And the entire industrial revolution is powered by MSMEs. You have 333 million self-employed individuals. And why am I telling you that? This part of your economy is just waking up. For the first time in our history, they are being able to directly contribute with full strength to your economic growth and participate in that economic growth. And why is that happening? It is happening, to my mind, because of one basic idea of the Prime Minister, which to my mind is propelling you to be the next superpower. Digital India, which was launched by him on 15th July 2015. I think it is one thing which has made India one. When he started Digital India on 15th July 2015, you know, the most important thing of the new world is individuals and a nation's relationship with technology. That will define how fast you move into the new world. On that day, your global ranking was about 123 in per capita data consumption. So we all agree per capita data consumption is a very important point to show how far you will go and how fast you will grow. 15 July 2015, you were 123 in the world. February 2021, 6 years, 72 months, you were number one in the world. You consume more per capita mobile data than the US and China put together. Are you seeing the pace at which you are growing and the change which you are bringing? Mr. Prem Singh spoke to you about real-time transactions. 2021, and we are a young nation. 41% of the world's real-time transactions happen in India. 41%. You did 48 billion transactions.